GM Dumelang, and welcome to the Purple Pages, the podcast network where I, Miss Purple, explore and unpack ideas within the culture and reality of living and functioning on chain. If you're an on-chain native, please take a few seconds to mint this episode on pods.media. You can also choose to read the article on my Substack or Medium, or you can listen to it on YouTube or Spotify. Today, I want to talk about a specific sect or group of behaviors that a lot of us have interacted with, have dabbled in even, a group that has in many ways shaped crypto pop culture and crowned its very own kings of legendary statements, or KOLs, degens. Let's start with a bit of history first. The word degen originated in the 19th century with the word degenerate, which was used to describe moral corruption or decline, often in the context of art criticism, amongst other things. It was used by those who felt they had a higher moral standing ground as a way to indicate a decline from a state of purity, morality, or quality. It was essentially the word equivalent to the holier than thou statement. This echoes the notion that the term degenerate, or degen, has always been tied to the idea of deviating from societal norms. The slang term, which we use today, degen, is a 2000s word born of various online communities, particularly Reddit and 4chan. It has, thankfully, lost the bulk of its sting and instead carries an ironic self-awareness. The word itself has become a bit of an inside joke, a bit of self-deprecation to describe one's awareness of the risky and often excessive behavior of buying copious amounts of, say, Fartcoin, with the conviction that it will pump. The self-awareness is key to understanding the degen mindset because it acknowledges the absurdity of the actions taken while embracing the thrill of the unknown. Being a degen today has an element of ironic camaraderie, like you're a part of something both hilarious and dangerous and outright silly, but also very important, albeit unconventional. Degens are perceived in many ways as the precipice of culture. The current state of the crypto pop culture is made up mostly of social-fi IRL meetups that often happen in the same places, and crypto Twitter. There are specific elements that can be seen through crypto Twitter as a window, and if you want to go slightly deeper than that, through other tools and platforms like Kaito AI and Farcaster that help to give you an understanding of what drives the buzz and what it could mean for the larger ecosystem. Now, for a bit of context, I have been dabbling in the space overall since the pandemic, basically. My first official foray was actually a gaming community, which I guess makes sense as a bit of a full circle moment because now I work for an on-chain game studio and tech company. I mention this as context because I have seen and tried my absolute best to understand the different sentiments and cultural evolutions in the past few years, some to no avail, and with some of them scaring the living daylights out of me. The gaming community's influence in particular on the crypto culture cannot be overstated, as it has contributed to the rise of play-to-earn models and the intersection of both gaming and finance and community in a way that feels nostalgic. Perhaps I'll try to talk on that in another video. What I saw were the entrails of DeFi summer, or what was left of it, the pinnacle of the beginning of play-to-earn and crypto gaming as a whole. I saw the NFT boom, the Luna debacle, I saw all the collapses, and now here we are, seeing the strange era of pump.fun and the genesis of presidential tokens and the crowning of the bearer baddies. Today, under the hood, we have meme coins as the clear, undisputed kings, which are joined in no particular strength order by NFTs, albeit not at their all-time glory like they were back in 2021. We have DeFi, which is still around and thriving for the most part. There is also an increased interest and reawakening within that sphere of gaming that I mentioned earlier, and more chains are being launched as part of the thematic landscapes on which the future of this technology were hinged on, almost at their genesis. Now, on meme coins particularly, CoinGecko has at least 12 meme-themed categories, with the country-themed meme category having the lowest 24-hour volume when I last checked, which was $1.6 million. That's the lowest. And the basic meme category with $6.6 billion in 24-hour volume. A disclaimer here, I have no certainty as to how CoinGecko categorizes these, and going through each category to compare each one would have made me certifiable. So let's just take this as it is. If you want to delve deeper into that, you can go and look it up on CoinGecko yourself. Memes in general reflect the digital age's penchant for virality, humor, and rapid trend cycle. They are not going to disappear, at least not fully, because all these elements are paramount to the fabric of online culture. The 90s had bulletin boards and chain mails, the 2000s got MySpace and 4chan, the 2010s had Vines and Reddit, and now the 2020s, we have TikTok and memes, in coin form and in pure visual form. Now, because technology is the medium through which the values of a given society are reflected, we cannot be shocked nor appalled by the sheer uptake of meme coins as an asset class that resonates with the culture. The internet culture as it is today feeds on speculative chaos and commentary because, regardless the ticker, memes and meme coins are funny to someone somewhere. And we as a culture have been willing to pay for anything that sparks even a little controversy or excitement, to feel a part of the nouveau, if you will. 3 years ago, in July, Coinbase released part 1 of the Degen trilogy, and almost everyone hated it. Its description reads: a 3-part film from the biggest names in crypto, and you, the community, enter a ragtag bunch of degens, each with their own special skills and their own hidden objectives, all chasing the same goal, ApeCoin. The obstacles seem impossible, success seems impossible, and it's beginning to feel like certain unseen figures are somehow behind the whole thing. From all across the globe, they're summoned to Midtown Manhattan, where things are becoming more and more chaotic by the second. To succeed, our adrenaline junkies and lone wolves must break from this world and start a new one, where the imagination only scratches the surface of what's to come. Because if they don't make it, we're not gonna make it. Here begins the era of the degens. Now, I don't know. Take out the fact that it was almost solely about ApeCoin, and I think I liked it. It had all the cringe and the dry humor and the dystopic takes on thematic culture that I guess are not what the people wanted. I think it could have been meant to be funny in its cringe, the kind of humor that made the Project X movie gross an approximate 104.6 million US dollars, with a bit of debauchery and being very on the nose. It was meant to be dramatic, but simple, at least that's what I think. The Bitcoinist article, aptly titled, and I quote, "Everybody Hates Coinbase's Mini Movie," said, "The Degen trilogy is a phenomenal piece of animation with the worst script ever written. A waste of talent, effort, and money at a time when Coinbase is laying off employees and under investigation by the SEC." Now, the social consensus was that the story itself was confusing. The credit sequence was too long. It also touched on the fact that there should have been more Bored Ape Yacht Club apes right at the beginning of the story. Unfortunately, or I guess fortunately for those who hated it that much, it was not continued past part 1, with a Coinbase spokesperson telling Decrypt that, and I quote, "We're constantly evolving our content strategy and have decided to pause production on the remaining 2 films while we identify the best path forward for the creative." Pieces like what Coinbase was trying to create are useful and markers of the peaks and troughs that come with the exploration of the new frontier. This one, at least, showed the competitive nature inherent with being a degen, with a camaraderie that feels a lot like IRL LARPing. There has since continued to be a tension between creative expression and community expectations in the crypto space. But like Sassel said in response to the negative backlash on his Powered by Ethereum logo, if you hate it so much, create a new one then. Show us all how to do it better. Or, like Sean Carter said, okay, so make another Hove. Vitalik's April 2024 article titled "Degen Communism, the Only Correct Political Ideology" defines Degen communism as a forward-looking ideology that solves the problem of the pre-internet old guard. Now, while the old guard desires decorum, respectability, and you guessed it, capitalism, the degen is the rebellion against traditional norms of productivity and success. He goes on to say, It is a political ideology that openly embraces chaos, but tweaks key rules and incentives to create a background pressure where the consequences of chaos are aligned with the common good. The article used the real estate market as an example of a society that favors the rich, where the rich with more influence and access continue to push for restrictions that prevent the building of developments that would then reduce or dilute this influence that they have. This society therefore favors the long plays and does not incentivize the youngins, the late bloomers, and the global majority trying their hand at making a life for themselves here. Tabling degen as an ideology that is the opposite of this. We can see it as one that embraces dynamism, change, and cross tribal bridging. Degen culture reflects a larger societal trend of embracing imperfection and rejecting perfectionism, adapting and moving with the flow, if you will. It houses an ideology which clearly resonates with the values of this internet generation, where the core tenets are flexibility, creativity, and community over the traditional notions of success and respectability. It's a way to signal that we are human, flawed, and even if the cons outweigh the pros, we're willing to take the risks. The almost perfect example of the modern life high risk, high reward, or high loss duality. Because the minute we stop willing, the moment we stop trying to rage against the machine, if you will, is the moment we sink into the quicksand of rigidity. This is not to say the entirety of all those participating in degen culture are indeed dynamists who see no problem embracing the common good chaos. This is not to say all degens are good or even bad, in the same way that not all medicine is good. While we love the celebration of societal rebellion and nonconformity that comes with this degen culture, it very clearly risks perpetuating a culture of reckless speculation and greed. We all know this. It's not a question of if. The emphasis on the number go up mentality can be detrimental for a lot more people than it is generational wealth. The worst part of it, I think, is the lies it seems to come with. The deception that a thing is what it seems to be when it actually isn't. While there is a sense of community in some instances, there are plenty more rife with an individualism that overlooks the need for collective action and systemic change. Don't get it twisted. The power structures continue. Social inequalities continue. The association with unsavory ideologies will and does continue, unfortunately. Ultimately, the degen culture and movement would have to confront these criticisms and strive for a more nuanced and equitable approach to financial freedom for it to mitigate harm and perhaps in some many ways survive. But let's be real, that's like dreaming of a bit of candy floss. It's a cute idea, not entirely impossible, but the practicality is nowhere near being found. In their defense, or perhaps our. In physics, I was taught that chaos is a dynamical system that exhibits sensitive dependence on initial conditions, such that small changes in the initial conditions lead to drastically different outcomes. The basic equation for chaos describes the rate of change or growth as R of the mindshare, or in this case amount of meme coins, as X at distinct time intervals of T. That is, the rate at which we get from the Dogecoin dominance era to the albeit temporary Trump coin and Fartcoin dominance era. In Vitalik's opinion, the internet of the 2020s wants chaos, the butterfly effect. And I am inclined to agree. This internet wants to see it all burn. Its action and risk in all its gruesome glory. It is the era of the absurd. And you don't have to look too far for this narrative. It is already a part of the TikTok zeitgeist. The problem then is not the degens. The problem is that degens, like Roaring Kitty, are not afraid to declare boldly that the old system and the old god have rigged in their losses, stifling the openings for opportunity. That is a problem because the old god could never fathom living in such filthy honesty. They would rather deplore the very ideology that is being a degen. So for all its faults, I agree in part with Vitalik. Keep the base instinct. Do not try to enforce that dreaded stasis. Embrace market chaos while working towards tweaking the rules such that the upsides get funneled into supporting public goods. After all, chaos, and therefore the very practice of being a degen, is the mother of revitalization and renewal. Thank you for listening, and until next time, stay curious and stay connected. And as we say here at home, hi begot.